Hi, I'm Jessica Salaji, publisher of thegeorgiavirtue.com. We're so excited to offer a compilation of videos this election season. The TGV Candidate Spotlight Series is an independent video feature produced with one goal in mind: providing voters with as much information as possible before they head to the polls. There's no agenda, we don't make endorsements, and we aren't beholden to any giant media corporation. The series is produced thanks to our advertisers and the generous donations made to the TGV Sunlight Fund and communities we cover. We extended an offer to all of the candidates seeking office this year, and to ensure the integrity of the questions and in fairness to all the opponents, every interview was recorded prior to the release of the videos in that race. For that reason, candidates who did not agree to an interview prior to the air date for their race will not be featured in this series. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget, you can find more content on this election cycle and much, much more on thegeorgiavirtue.com.
There's never been a better time to upgrade at Franklin Toyota. Hurry in and save big on our entire inventory of your favorite new Toyotas. All marked with the honest, transparent, and upfront pricing you've come to expect from Franklin. The price you see is the price you pay. No gimmicks and no games. Get it fast, get it fair, get it forever. That's the Franklin guarantee, because at Franklin, we're here for you. Visit us on Commerce Drive in Statesboro or shop our complete inventory online at franklintoyota.com.
Today we're sitting down with Bulloch County Commission candidate Jennifer Mock. Thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to hear about your campaign and your position on lots of things Bulloch County.
All right, thanks. My name is Jennifer Mock. I was born and raised in Bulloch County, graduated from Statesboro High School, and then went on to Georgia Southern, where I majored in marketing and finance. Got my Bachelor of Business degree and decided I wasn't done with school at that point and wanted to keep going. So applied for law school and ended up at the University of Georgia, where I earned my Juris Doctor in 2007. Since that time, I have been in Augusta, in Savannah, working at law firms, and about 10 years ago, I returned to Statesboro to open my own law firm, the Mock Law Firm. Since that time, we've grown tremendously, in my eyes anyway, and we have moved from the Market District over to Main Street, the Blue Mile. I've gone from 2 employees to 6 employees, and we focus on things such as real estate law, probate law, family law, and some general litigation. I live here with my husband and our 3 children. My husband's a professional engineer here, so he's heavily involved in the county as well. And, you know, honestly, I think one of the major things I can bring to the table on this is a unique perspective. I'm younger, I'm a woman, I'm a lawyer. Right now there's no women serving on county commission. There's no lawyers serving on the county commission. I can bring a unique perspective. But honestly, I think no one should vote for me just because I'm a woman or just because I'm a lawyer or anything like that. People should vote for me because I am the best candidate for this position.
Well, let's talk about some of your positions. You know, you're running in the Republican primary, but luckily with local politics, we don't have to worry about like the controversial hot button issues that we see on TV every single day, it seems like. But there are different types of hot button issues for local government. So can you, before we dive into them, can you kind of give us a 30,000-foot view of how you view the job of county commission or county commissioner and what you see the role of local government being for people day to day?
Sure. So role of county commissioners is, in my perspective, to set policies and procedures that work best for the citizens of the county they're serving. And specifically, a lot of that ends up coming down to planning and zoning decisions, development decisions, growth decisions, and also, of course, property taxes and budgeting to make sure that the services that the community needs as it grows are fully funded. I want to bounce around a little bit because you did mention planning and zoning. That might be one of the most contentious things that comes before the commission, and a lot of times there's disagreement because, you know, the county employees will recommend one thing, planning and zoning will recommend another, and then county commissioners are having to weigh all of that plus whatever the public is there asking for or demanding or whatever the case may be. So how do you plan to weigh all of those perspectives, because there's so much to the process, but ultimately you would be the only one that is accountable to voters.
So how do you weigh all those moving parts, and like how would you approach a decision where there's conflict among landowners?
Well, I think that weighing it itself is the important thing, and trying to balance everything as far as growth and development versus preservation of our agricultural community, which I know is a big issue for a lot of citizens. It's a balancing approach. You have to weigh different things. You have to look at the surrounding areas, see what's going on. You also have to look at, there's so many moving pieces. I can't really say how I would do it on any one particular topic. It would really depend, but you could look at, what is this going to do to, for instance, the congestion in the roads? How is this going to impact the schools? How is this going to impact the adjacent landowners? I mean, it's a drastic example, but you don't want a paper mill next to a strip mall. You have to weigh all of those types of things. Right. And I'm not sure if that completely answered your question, but I don't know that there's a one answer for how you weigh it. I think each case is a case-by-case basis.
Sure. Well, and I think, you did answer the question. I just think that people want to know, like, there's people who want the commissioners to throw down the hammer for what they want no matter what, and like you said, there's more to it. And I think one of the pressing questions is how will somebody who is elected make sure that all of the perspectives are represented? How do you do that? How do you accomplish that?
To make sure all the perspectives are represented might be an impossibility. However, making sure that there's access, information, that the press is covering it, that kind of information is important to make sure you get those perspectives. Because if you ask 1,000 people in Bulloch County what their opinion is on something, you're going to get 1,000 different answers likely. So I think just access to information, making sure that information is out there, whether it's social media, whether it's the press. I believe in a lot of information, because I believe the more perspectives you have, the better decision you can make for everybody.
Sure. What do you feel like are the most pressing issues for Bulloch County right now in 2022?
I honestly think, and we've touched on it already, is just managing the growth and balancing the growth, the want to, every community, if they're not growing, they're dying. And the community has to grow. Business development is incredibly important, and I definitely believe that. Property rights are definitely important. And I do stand behind those things. However, managing the growth is important too. You don't want it to be out of control. You don't want it to be without a plan. I know Bulloch County created a strategic plan. I think it was a comprehensive plan for 2040. I've looked through that. I think it's a valuable resource to try to help manage that. But I think it's managing that and the competing ideas of what is best for the county in regards to how fast do we grow, where do we restrict, that sort of thing.
Do you feel like the comprehensive plan is something that has to be strictly adhered to, or do you think that you can kind of, should we give exceptions to the plan, or should we adjust the plan as we go?
Oh, I definitely think we should adjust the plan as we go. If you read through the plan, I believe first or second page, it says it's a living document, that it's going to be something that can be changed and molded as it goes. And I believe that some parts of it are going to be reviewed every 5 years, some every 10. And I definitely think that you have to change as it goes. If you don't change and modify, then what was good in 2019 or so when this plan was done is not going to necessarily be exactly the right path in 2035. So you have to go with the flow.
Right. One of the things that Bulloch County is really lucky in a lot of different departments is the tenure of our employees. We have a lot of employees who have been here a really long time, but when they leave, recruitment is going to be something where we're going to have to be competitive. And one of the things that a lot of employees have vocalized a desire for improvement is with benefits or retirement plans and things like that. But obviously, the more investment or pension related you go, the more liability there is for taxpayers in the county. So are you open to expanding the way that we provide our employee benefits to, for the purposes of recruitment and retention? And like, how do you balance what is good for employees and what can get taxpayers out of that dangerous bind of something that's not sustainable?
Well, in a perfect world, what's good for the employees and attracting employees, retaining employees is going to be good for the citizens. But I know that does come at a cost, and there's a lot of variability with pension plans and such. I actually talked to some deputies earlier this week who were complaining about that exact thing, and maybe I shouldn't use the word complaining, but they were just voicing their concerns. And I do think that is a problem, that that there is no good retirement plan, structure plan in place. I haven't dug deep into the financials to know where maybe some money could be moved from and what type of plans are out there that may meet the needs without compromising the budget of the county in future years. So that would be something I would have to look at a little more closely. But I think it's absolutely important. When I've talked to these folks and hear that there's people that have been working 30 years and really can't afford to retire, that's a problem. And it's something we need to fix. I don't have all the answers right this second, but it's definitely something that I plan to look at, as it has already been voiced to me that there's some concerns with that.
You mentioned the free flow of information and just the flow of information in general. Do you feel like our county is transparent enough? Are there, and even if the answer is yes, are there things we could do that would make it, I guess, easier for citizens to have access to the information, and when?
I feel like our county is more transparent than some other counties and municipalities that I have seen before. I'm a big believer, though, that you can't expect people to trust you if you restrict access to information. I'm a little bit of a nerd with the legal stuff, and I love like Robert's Rules of Order, and I think that kind of stuff helps protect and helps provide information, and making sure that information's out there so that when citizens do want the information, it is accessible to them. I think things like executive sessions should be used sparingly and only when necessary. I mean, I'm a lawyer. There are things that need to be kept confidential or incredibly sensitive. The relevancy versus the sensitivity, it just outweighs it. But overall, I think the way you have the trust in the people, the way you can make the best decisions is to give people access to information, give people access to what's going on. Because most likely, then you're going to get some feedback and you're going to be able to make a decision that's best for the entire community and not just one subsection of the community.
Based on, this is one that everybody loves, which is taxes and taxation in general, but are taxes too high, too low, just right? And how do you evaluate that? How do you decide if we're, hitting the mark?
Looking at the numbers, Bulloch County's mill rate versus other counties, and sometimes it's hard to compare apples to apples because every county has a different county rate versus the school rate. Sure. I have been looking at some of that. I know Bulloch right now, between the county and the school, I believe it is around 20 mills. Candler County is around 21. Effingham and Bryan, which I think is more maybe a comparable size county, those are closer to 23 when you add those mills together. Counties like Chatham, that's 31, and of course Metro Atlanta is off the charts on their property taxes. I think property taxes are important to keep as low as possible. That attracts more residents, more businesses, keeps everyone happy. Of course, you do have to balance that with the schools' needs, the educational needs, and the services in the county, because people do want law enforcement. They want law enforcement who stays, emergency services, recreation facilities, things like that. It's a balancing act. As of right now, I don't think that necessarily that our rate is too high. It seems pretty comparable, if not a little lower, than a lot of surrounding areas. Of course, things can change right now. Real estate inflation is incredibly high. So if the tax assessor continues to up the values of the properties, then more tax revenue would essentially come in without even having to change the mill rate. So there's going to be fluctuations like that too.
Sure. Do you feel like they're in evaluating some of the stuff that you looked at so far? Do you feel like there are things that the county should be spending less money on, or maybe spending money differently on?
I don't have anything specific at this time with the finances. Like I said, I'd like to look a little more carefully, particularly with the county employees, because that one, as I said, came to my attention this week in talking to some folks. Sure. And I want to kind of see how that could be used. Right now, I feel like there is a pretty good balance. Again, it's one of those things, like I said before, you ask everybody in the county, everybody is going to have a different answer. As I've been putting up signs and going out and talking to people, one person says, make sure, you know how important emergency EMS services are. I'm like, yes, I know. And I do. And then being a lawyer, you know how important the courts are. You know how important this is. And everybody's got something that's really important and near and dear to their heart. Right now, I don't have any specific suggestions or impressions on what should be changed. I'm kind of listening and getting a lot of information right now.
Why do you want this job? Politics in general, of course, is contentious and people are shying away from it more than ever. Obviously, we have an open seat here, and so I think that has drawn more attention to the office than normal. But why now?
Well, I love politics, and specifically why now is because it's an open seat that tends to usually lend itself to have more people coming in. But we need more young people in our local government. We need more women involved in our local government. We need more perspectives. Again, I've been on a lot of leadership boards here and there, and to be honest, the ones that can make the best decisions are the ones that bring a lot of voices to the table. And again, you have the public and their voices, but the commissioners' voices and their perspectives, their backgrounds are important as well.
Is there anything else that you would like to mention that we didn't talk about, or that you feel like you just really want voters to know about you before they head to the polls?
I think I covered it all today. Thank you.
Okay, I was just making sure. Okay, and can you tell voters where they can learn more about you before May 24th?
Absolutely. You can learn more about me, social media sites. I do have a Facebook page right now and LinkedIn. We are putting up more every day, so there will be more contacts between that on those platforms as additional information is available.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us, and good luck to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jessica.
Sure.